down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard NFL Week 2. We have had one of the most tumultuous Week 1s I think have ever seen in the NFL in many different ways. So a lot to talk about today. Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh, I am good. I am better than Giants fans right now because that was the worst beatdown I have ever witnessed in my time of studying the NFL. I got a few stats from that thing right here. The largest shutout victory in Cowboys history. The worst Week 1 beatdown since 1999 when the Steelers did it to the Browns. And it is also the worst beatdown of a playoff team ever. Of a playoff team the previous season, that was the worst beatdown of a playoff team ever in Week 1.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
That's a lot of bad.
Yes.
That's a lot of bad news. Man, yeah, what happened to the Giants?
Dude,
we have to talk about that.
Yeah, we will when we get to the Giants,
Yeah.
but Jesus, I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Absolutely. I mean, probably overall the weekend could not have gone any worse for all of New York. Like the entire New York fan base.
True. Yeah,
Like
even with
Jets,
a win with one
the
of them.
Jets won the game and lost the season like in the same day. Which is which is ridiculous to think about. And by the way, I have something to say about the Bills there as well if we get when we get to that point later. But we have a couple of segments that I want to pick up here since it is the NFL. Number one, we need to talk about MVPs because I like MVP power rankings. I like them better than team power rankings. Though I've seen the Niners up on number one in most power rankings this week, I still prefer the MVP power rankings. So, Smokey, I want your top 5 candidates right now for MVP. And I'll say this at the start because people are going to still say Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. I know they're the best players and they'll get into the conversation. The concept here is if the season ends today and everyone took the nameplates off their jerseys, who wins the MVP?
Absolutely, and that's it right there because those 3 superstars who have been the best over the past 4 to 5 years are really bad right now as of Week 1. So you can't throw their names in there yet. Yeah, I'm sure the odds are still way up there for one of those guys to win. But as of right now, my pick before the season was Trevor Lawrence, and he is absolutely in the running after Week 1. Now, if you're going by stats and overall just how they looked on the field, the eye test, you gotta say Tua right now. I think Tua is number 1. Herbert is number 2. They happen to play in the same game, so we have to throw Herbert in there. And I would actually slot Lawrence in as number 3 right now because I can't. But he's still my favorite to win. I'm still picking Lawrence, but I got to throw McCaffrey in there. I can't think of
non-quarterback.
Yeah, the only non-quarterback in this. But for number 5, this is a surprise pick, and I know some people are going to cringe at this, and some people are not going to believe it. But after Week 1, Jordan Love is absolutely in the running for MVP. Now, his brother backfired on me during the USFL season, and I picked him after Week 1, and it totally blew up in my face. I hope that doesn't happen here, but I can see big things for Jordan Love coming up because that was a great Week 1 if he continues on that path. So I got Tua, Herbert, Lawrence, McCaffrey, and Jordan Love. Who do you have?
The Packers have a chance of having both the NFL MVP and USFL MVP on the same team. Because Alex Magoo, as far as I'm aware, is still with the Packers. Be it the practice squad, but he is he's with the Packers after USFL season. Number 1, I got Tua. I think it's very hard to debate that. I mean, incredible performance, 466 yards, and one of the games of the season in Week 1 against the Chargers there, that shootout. So he's number 1 to me. Jordan Love actually at number 2. I got him even higher than you because statistically speaking, he's the highest passer rating, 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, and he did continue the long Packers tradition of beating up on the Bears within the division, right? So, I mean, Are we seeing a third generation of quarterback dominance for the Packers? Maybe. He's got big shoes to fill, but it's possible. Right now, it's a good number 3 for me. You can say this is a homer pick. I don't think it is. It's completely justified. Brock Purdy, number 3. Played mistake-free. He's the 3rd best quarterback in passer rating. Number 2 is Desmond Ridder, by the way. But he had even more support from the run game than Brock Purdy. But Purdy, number 3, completely mistake-free. And I don't care where he was picked. He's been one of the top 3 quarterbacks last week. Absolutely counts. And then number 4, I got Trevor Lawrence. Number 5, Justin Herbert, like he did as well. You could throw Russell Wilson. You could go Jimmy Garoppolo. You could go a lot of different names because it's only been 1 week. You could even go Baker Mayfield to the particularly the particular sinister NFL fans out there. You could say Baker Mayfield after 1 week. But I think it's hard to debate Tua in the number 1 spot at the moment after 1 week.
I think if Russell and Baker are in the conversation, then people are going to be throwing Derek Carr in there, Dak Prescott.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe even Justin Fields would get brought up if we're digging that deep. But yeah, I don't think those guys quite belong in there yet. I don't think Baker's going to be around at the end of the season. May not even be starting on that team. It may be Kyle Trask by the end of the season. He is playing hero ball, and he's playing well enough to beat some teams, but I don't think that's going to hold up. I mean, the Vikings are frauds, right? Didn't we talk about that all last year? The Vikings are not as good. Yeah, they were not as good as their record would indicate, and they're not that good. They're regressing to the mean right now. The Buccaneers just had an easy out in that one, so we'll see how Baker does going forward. Maybe he can become what he was meant to be. He was a first overall pick, and his problem is he's always wanted to play hero ball. He's always wanted to be that Mike Vick, Josh Allen type of quarterback when he just doesn't quite have it to do that at the NFL level. It worked at Oklahoma, but we'll see. We'll see going forward.
Absolutely. This will change, of course. It's very dynamic. By the way, I'll put up a poll on the community page of the channel, like I did last year, actually, on a week-to-week basis, where you can vote for your favorite to win the MVP. We have another segment that I've introduced for this year, particularly, if you remember. Guess the biggest spread. Self-explanatory concept here. For week 2, out of all these games, what do you think? Biggest spread.
I wish I would have remembered this segment and I would have had a predetermined pick here, but looking through this, there are some close games in here. Actually, all these seem to be within reason. Vikings and Eagles may stand out because the Eagles did get a win and being as dominant as they were last season, and the Vikings being frauds, maybe that's a pretty big spread there. The Eagles are at home. Lions and Seahawks. The Seahawks were exposed last week, whereas the Lions actually beat the Chiefs. Is there anyone else I could say would be in that realm? Saints and Panthers, since Derek Carr is there and the Saints won and the Panthers were really bad, that offensive line let Bryce Young get beat to death. Oh, that was horrible. So I think out of all of those 3, unless I'm just overlooking someone. Oh, you know what? Without Aaron Rodgers, the Cowboys had that dominant performance. I'm going to say it's the Cowboys over the Jets.
You are correct this week. Cowboys over the Jets, 9.5 points. However, it is a tie. There is one more game with the exact same spread of 9.5 at this point, and it is the most ridiculous spread I have ever seen, and there have been bad ones. You would never guess this in a million years. But when we get to the game, I will tell you which one it is. It is ridiculous. Be prepared. This is ludicrous. Okay. But we'll get to it when we get to it. Starting off, Thursday night, Vikings at the Eagles.
Yeah, like I said, the Vikings were frauds, and it ended up being exposed there by Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. Enough on that game. I think they're just going to be mediocre this entire season. They may end up getting 6-7 wins by the end of the thing. The Eagles, however, were not the Eagles of that Super Bowl run last season. It was quite an ugly game, as a matter of fact. I was not impressed by anything. The run game was bad. I I'm blanking on the name. What was the backup running back that took over? Because Rashad Penny was out of this game. Forgot
what are we talking about?
The Eagles. Minnesota? Yeah, the Eagles backup running back. I am totally blanking.
I don't know. It used to be Boston Scott. I don't know if he's still there.
Yeah, it wasn't Boston Scott in this one.
Wasn't either?
Yeah, Jesus. I'm just blanking on the name. But the point being, Rashad Penny was out of this game, and DeAndre Swift was not utilized whatsoever. So it was almost like they went with their third to fourth option here, made him the number one. We'll see what happens when Rashad Penny gets back. But as for this game right here, the Eagles being at home, and it could be one of the biggest spreads, I have to go with the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to go Eagles as well, though I'll say this, they didn't really convince me of a whole lot in their last outing. Their offenses looked largely completely useless, and had it not been for their probably league best defense, they would have probably gotten beat, because Mac Jones flat out outplayed Jalen Hurts for the majority of the game. The Patriots had a few early back-breaking mistakes, turnovers at the hands of Jones. I will fully admit that. But the Patriots produced offense this game. The Eagles really didn't a whole lot. They scored with the defense, they scored with the special teams, and it was enough. But it was not impressive by any means. Of course, the Vikings are frauds. And this is one thing I forgot to ask you about our record of last year. I feel good of last week. I feel good about it because I remember picking the Bucs as one of the upsets. And I think I had the Jets as well. Didn't expect it to go the way it did, but they did win. How are our records looking after 1 week, Sammy?
Well, yours is a lot better than mine, I'll tell you that. Because all 4 games we disagreed on, you won all 4 of those. It was ridiculous. There were games that I picked against you, and I was watching this game at halftime, and I was thinking, I've got this one in hand. I'm definitely winning that one. Come back to the game after it's over and realize I lost that one too. The Bucs and Vikings we disagreed on. I picked the Steelers. That was probably my dumbest.
Yeah, that was
right
bold.
There.
That was bold.
It was, and I said no sane person should be picking the Steelers, but I had some kind of gut feeling that was absolutely wrong. I picked the Broncos, which I still feel better about the Broncos than the Raiders. I think by the end of the season, the Broncos will have a better record than the Raiders. That was one of those games. They started off hot. Sean Payton looked like he knew what he was doing, and it backfired on me in the end. The other one is you had the courage to pick the Jets, and even after Aaron Rodgers went out, they still won the game somehow because the Bills are just looking bad in week 1. But yeah, that was a bold pick by you, and it actually paid off. I had 5 correct picks, which is absolutely pitiful, to your 9 correct picks in week 1.
Wow. 5 to 9. Even 9 is not a very good record, may I say, if there's 16 games. So that was a weak start, but I guess it goes to show how unpredictable this week was and how tumultuous it was. Mm-hmm. And for the record, I'll say I watched the entirety of the Bills Jets game on Tuesday morning in class. And after the first Jets drive, I knew for sure I had lost. Not only had the Jets lost any chance at making the playoffs, but I had for sure lost the prediction. And somehow the Bills managed to lose that game.
Yeah,
it's completely beyond me. But I'll take the point because I'll need it, because 9 points is not even that good either. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we can improve here. We both have the Eagles here. Vikings are frauds. We agree on that. Eagles continue to win. Packers at the Falcons.
Yeah, and a little addendum to earlier, Kenneth Gainwell is the name I was trying to think of. He was the lead running back all that game. I don't know if they're just going to decide to switch it up every game or whatever. But right here, the Packers and the Falcons, I am really scared because I loved how the Falcons played. They played really well. They were conservative. It was a run-first game, and Tyler Algier beast-moded along with Bijan Robinson. They were both actually really, really good in this game. However, Arthur Smith is not letting Desmond Ridder uncork it at all. Drake London had absolutely 0 receptions in that game. And we didn't need it. He didn't need it in that game, but I think we're going to need it in the future. I would have taken advantage of that and said, hey, since we have a comfortable lead, let's go ahead and take some shots downfield. There was a great pass, a dime to Kyle Pitts. Toward the end, it may have even been in the fourth quarter, I believe. But that was a wonderful pass. I think we need to get rid of some more reps passing downfield while we have the chance, while we are up in games. Because if we get behind, he's going to have to take shots downfield. We want to know that he's capable of doing that, but Arthur Smith loves the run game, and it is what it is. On the other side, the Packers are scary at this point in time. Jordan Love made it into the MVP talks. They are really good, and I don't think many people actually expected this to happen. I'm scared. I'm going to be a homer here because I have to believe in my Falcons. I don't want this to turn ugly early in the season, but I am afraid of the Packers. I'll be picking the Falcons at home.
See, here's what I'm thinking. We have seen the Packers at the top of their game in week 1. We've seen Jordan Love at the top of what could reasonably be expected from him. I expected this team to be extremely mediocre without Aaron Rodgers, said it for many years. I still think they will be. We've seen the Falcons, as you've correctly pointed out, sort of running the bare minimum and winning. And by run, and I mean that literally, because the run game is ferocious for the Falcons. And from my take on this situation kind of is, especially if you're up in games, why make Desmond Ridder make plays that he's not comfortable with if you don't have to? If you can rely on the running backs to run out the game for you, the running game works. The Niners have had so much success over the past few years doing exactly that. And Kyle Shanahan teams have. And even with the Falcons, he did, even though, of course, Matt Ryan was a little bit more of a veteran quarterback to run that same offense. But the same style still applies, and it does work. So, to me, Falcons are doing exactly what they're supposed to. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Packers defense, especially the run defense, has never been their strong suit for a long time. I think this is actually a very good matchup for the Falcons. And I think the Falcons keep going 2-0, and they win another one. They win one at home. Now here's one where I have to give this disclaimer before we even go into this game. We have the Raiders at the Buffalo Bills. And believe it or not, biggest home favorite tied with the Cowboys. Your 4-turnover Buffalo Bills against the winning Raiders.
Wow. Yeah, they're going off of the previous season rather than
9.5 points.
Yeah, they're definitely not going off of week 1 with that's for sure, because if you watched both of those games, you would say, hey, maybe the Raiders are the better team here. Jimmy G, I haven't looked into much about his health. Have you heard anything? Is he healthy and ready to go for this game?
I haven't heard anything, but his injury didn't look too bad.
Yeah,
I saw him go down briefly, and they evaluated him, but he seemed to be completely fine. And I think he's right.
Yeah,
should be good. I haven't heard anything else, at least.
That's what I'm assuming going into this game. So I actually think this will be a close game, right? The Bills are at home. That should give them the advantage, but they really just gave that game away to the Jets. You talked about it, 4 interceptions. And they went up to an early lead. Most of their points were right up front. I thought this game is over, especially with Aaron Rodgers out, and the defense collapsed and gave it up. I don't know, man. I want to say that the Bills are going to get it back together. I don't think week 1 is indicative of their entire season. I don't think, maybe they're just not as good as they have been over the past 3 seasons. We'll find out, but maybe they're not. But as for this, the Raiders, they should beat the Raiders. On paper, they have the Jimmies and Joes to beat the Raiders, right? I am going to take the Bills at home.
Yeah, see, I would love to take the Bills at home and feel good about it, but that's actually not that easy. I know they're not going to be like this for the rest of the season. Of course, there's no excuse for losing that game. 0 excuse for losing the game. And I saw a fun comment about this actually after the game, which was losing Aaron Rodgers to injury on the very first drive of the season is the most Jets thing ever. But losing to those Jets without Aaron Rodgers is the most Bills thing ever. And I can't help but agree if we look at the sort of the history of these two teams. But the Bills need to recover badly because the Dolphins are very good. The Patriots didn't look like chumps at all. They nearly beat the Super Bowl team. They have to win this one. It's a must-win game, I think, for Buffalo. Because otherwise, the division's already looking kind of not great. You don't want to have too much of a separation because the Dolphins can put up points in a hurry, and you certainly don't want to go into that situation. So I will take the Bills. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, even though Jimmy Garoppolo finds ways to win, and the Raiders found a way to win. Could easily be an upset. I would never take 9.5 points. I'd give the Bills 5 points on a good day, and they are at home. But I think they're going to come back and win it because Josh Allen he's a superstar. He's a great quarterback who had a terrible game, faced the top 3 defense. It happens. I believe the Bills have the ability to recover, but they better. They going into it with some pressure. Still take them to win, though. Speaking of teams going into a game with pressure, Ravens at the Bengals.
Yeah, and really both of these teams are. Not just the Bengals because of that horrible performance, but the Ravens did not impress me at all. Yeah, they got a decent win, 25-9 over the Texans, but it's the Texans. What do you expect? I guess Lamar Jackson doesn't pass anymore. Is that what we're doing? Oh man, J.K. Dobbins. RIP my fantasy teams because J.K. Dobbins was on a lot of them and he was carrying the workload. He was going to be great this year. Achilles tear. It is over. We'll see who takes his place. I think they're probably bringing Melvin Gordon back up now, but that run game is probably not going to be as good, but we've seen in the past that the Ravens can hold their own in the run game with the backups, even the backup quarterbacks. So I don't think it'll be too big of a loss. But the Bengals, on the other hand, this is what we need to talk about because they didn't look like a playoff team. They didn't look like a 8-8 team in that game. It was in the rain. But the Browns, it's the Browns with a bad Deshaun Watson last season, who actually looks really good right now. I think he's regressing to the mean also. I don't know what to think about the Bengals. They totally blew that. I understand they've always had offensive line problems, and the Browns and Myles Garrett absolutely took advantage of that. I kind of feel bad for Joe Burrow. I wonder about his health also because he did have that hamstring issue early in the season or whatever leg issue he had and totally got beat up in this game in the rain. I want to say that the Bengals have to pull it back together, right? I think as long as it's not raining, apparently, I think they can get it back together. I think they can put one over on the Ravens because that offense is not impressing me at all and the defense is really not super wonderful. It was only the Texans. I am going to go with my gut here and take the Bengals at home.
See, this is a difficult one because I really want to have the same argument here for the Bengals that I did for the Bills, but man, the Bengals looked bad, and against Cleveland, I know the Browns kind of have their number, and but Joe Burrow arguably looked worse than Josh Allen even because he didn't produce anything. He didn't produce 100 yards. So that's difficult to say. And you would expect the Ravens to be better than the Raiders as well. So I want to pick the Bengals. I think it's probably the smart pick. Not overreacting to week 1, but I have to go Baltimore. I'm taking the Ravens because they are also a respectable team. And what I saw from Cincinnati last week was absolutely horrid. And I don't know if they'll make up for that in week 2 or this quickly. There might have been too much to fix in 1 week. So I'm going Baltimore. This one I'll have to disagree with you all taking the road team. Though I definitely don't want that. I want the Bengals to win. But doesn't look good at the moment. I think they're going to be in some trouble that they have to dig themselves out of pretty soon. Seahawks at the Lions.
Yeah, props to the Lions for playing on Thursday night in front of the entire world in the first game of the season against the Super Bowl champions and actually pulling out a win there. I am really impressed by the Lions right now. They are playing wonderful. I understand that it was not like they went in there and beat them down or anything, but for them to actually get a win over what people consider the best team of the past 5-6 seasons is wonderful because it's the Lions. We'll see if Jared Goff can hold it together going into the future, but I really respect that showing, and a lot of people say the Chiefs beat themselves, but we'll leave that alone for right now. Seahawks were horrible. Geno looked really bad. At the first of the game, I would say he looked like he may hold it together this year, but he regressed, and that's what I said Geno was going to do. I expect this to continue. I expect the Seahawks to be mediocre to subpar, like really, really subpar this year. They could go and have a really bad season. It's hard to say that with Pete Carroll because he doesn't have bad seasons no matter who's playing, but I don't think Geno is going to be where it's at, and they will be replacing him at the end of the season. I will be picking the Lions at home here.
Yeah, I'm happy to announce that I'm fully agreeing with what you're saying. Seattle looked bad, which is a wonderful news. Everyone rejoiced. Seahawks lost. Oh, of course, only to the Rams. But I don't take the Rams as seriously as I would Seattle for the whole of the season. Lions actually upset Kansas City in the season opener, which was a major surprise, but they look good. They look gritty. Defense looked much improved, and if they can produce offensively the way they were able to most of last season, if you remember, Jared Goff put up great numbers with that supporting cast, which has gotten a year more experienced by this point as well, and they may have drafted the best or second best running back in this year's draft class. Is out for debate, but yeah, I like the Lions. I like the Lions for the NFC North, and this win against Kansas City just confirmed those suspicions, and I would love to see them beat Seattle one more time. So I'm taking the Lions. Colts and Texans.
I will say this, regardless of where he was drafted at, Jahmyr Gibbs is no Bijan Robinson at all. Not even close, in my opinion. But we got a tank bowl right here. I think this is a tank bowl already in week 2 of the season. The Colts were running this weird offense whenever they knew. And I don't even know what the name of it is. I just know it looked awkward. Whenever they knew it was going to be a quarterback run play with Anthony Richardson, they had this weird lineup, and you guys, if you didn't see the game, go back and watch it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like it was like a tail. It's like when you saw this weird formation, they were going to run, and there was a lot of designed runs, and that's how you get your quarterback injured in the end, is by planning on him running. It wasn't just that the play breaks down, he takes off running. These were designed runs, and it's not going to work out long term like that. I know Shane Steichen thinks like this guy has got to be the best runner of all time, right? Let me look at the guy. He's an athletic freak. He should be able to just run the ball. Forget the passing. We don't even need it. Although I will say he dropped a dime or two in there, and he does have a wonderful arm. He can throw the ball far. He's not developed yet. He's so raw. And who knows, it may be Gardner Minshew in this game. And I don't even know if that's an improvement or a downgrade. Who knows? Texans, on the other hand, were not great either. 9 points. I really don't, man. This is absolutely a tank bowl. I'm just going to go with the home team because I think they're both bad right now. I'll take the Texans at home.
Yeah, this is a difficult one, but I'm going to go Colts because I trust their defense a little bit more. Their defense is a bit more experienced. Even though I like DeMeco Ryans and I like what they're doing, I probably think the Texans end up having a better season than the Colts. And by no means will either team contend for the playoffs, but Texans will have a better season than the Colts and ultimately better future. CJ Stroud looked probably the least confident and secure of the rookie quarterbacks we saw. And that's not a big surprise to me because he arguably landed on the weakest roster as well. So there's a lot of work to do there. So I'm taking the Colts to win the first divisional game simply because I think they'll force too many turnovers. I think this Houston offense run with CJ Stroud is extremely young and very inexperienced. I think they'll turn the ball over 2-3 times. And I think the Colts will reap the benefits of that. But it's gonna be an ugly game. I think it's gonna be good coaching tape, but not necessarily great. Not necessarily a great watch, even though we have rookie quarterbacks there. Mm-hmm. Chiefs and Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this game plays out because I am high on the Jaguars. That's kind of like my outside of my homer picks for this year because I think that Doug Peterson has a chance to win Coach of the Year, and I think MVP is coming from that team also in Trevor Lawrence. But this is the Chiefs. I know they lost to the Lions. And yes, that could actually happen again here. It's hard to see the Chiefs 0-2. As dominant as they've been since 2016 or whatever it was when they started this crazy playoff run they've been on with 2 Super Bowl champions. I think 3 Super Bowls total, and 2 of them they've won. It's hard to see them going 0-2. I just can't get over thinking, I don't know. How does that happen to the Chiefs? It can't, right? I think if Travis Kelce is back, the offense is going to be much better. I really want to pick the Jaguars. I really do. But I need to make up points here. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs on the road, but I want the Jaguars to win.
I mean, it's hard to envision the Chiefs going 0-2. 0-2, but it was hard to envision them going 0-1, right, against the Lions. And if I'd asked you, you'd have probably said the Jaguars better team than the Lions. I would have been a bit more cautious about that. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure you'd have said that. You're very, very high on Jacksonville, and I understand why. They're looking good. So at the Lions, it's a difficult one to pick. Jacksonville at home. I don't want to fall for the same thing that you said, that you mentioned. I think it's very difficult for the Chiefs to envision the Chiefs at 0-2.
Yeah.
Considering that their division also isn't looking like a complete pushover at all. Chargers looking good. The Raiders actually won a game. And the same thing applies for them as does for the Bengals. You don't want to fall that far behind because it's a slugfest. If you have to keep digging yourself out of that, you don't want to fall into that hole. Jacksonville obviously won the game. They could take a dominant position in their division immediately if they want another one. But I'm also going with the Chiefs. I feel like I'm kind of getting suckered into this pick, and I don't really want to make it because I'm not convinced by it.
Yeah.
But it's really purely I just can't see them losing again. That's the reason why. But hey, a lot of things happened this weekend that I could have never envisioned. So maybe the reality in the NFL changes quickly. So I don't know, but I'm going Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs one more time.
Yeah.
Bears and the Bucks.
Yeah, another hard pick right here. Justin Fields still looks like a great runner, but not a good passer. Maybe he's not going to develop. Everybody thinks that this is going to be his breakout year, especially in the fantasy realm. They think this is the year for Justin Fields, but after week 1, he's not showing it yet. But like I said, that run game is really good. They just couldn't get the win. On the other side, Baker's down there playing hero ball like he likes to do. The guy just wants to be the hero. He doesn't only play hero ball because it's necessary in certain situations. He does it because he loves being that guy who can run around the field and fire off a shot from the sideline and actually score a touchdown. Then he can run around the field waving his arms and whatnot and celebrate that he did it. He's the hero. He's kind of got an ego on him, but I understand. As long as you're winning, that's fine. The Bucks are not a good team overall, though. That makes this tough, though. I don't know. You know what? I am going to give the Bears another chance here because I actually picked them against the Packers and it flew up in my face. I'm going to go with it again because I just don't believe in the Bucks that much, and I want the Bucks to lose so the Falcons have a leg up in this division. I'll take the Bears on the road.
All right, you'll take the Bears on the road. I'll take another free point on the hands of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know it's Baker Mayfield. I know you still think Justin Fields somehow is a top 10, 15 quarter, whatever. He's not. He's none of that. He's the most overrated player in the league. He's not even bad, but he's that overrated. I don't understand it. He's not that good. He's not bad, but he's not that good. The whole Bears team isn't that good. They had a number 1 pick for a reason and traded it away because they somehow believed they had their clutch guy locked in. He's not Trevor Lawrence. He's not in Trevor Lawrence's universe.
No.
I still think Mac Jones is better than him.
Oh, no.
From what I've seen, I know he's more flashy. I know he's the cooler player, the better highlight tape. But I still think Mac Jones is probably the smarter pick. I need to see more from Justin Fields. If he's the savior of the franchise, do something about it. And a decent Bucs team, not even good, is going to beat the Bears here because a decent, not good Packers team did it too. That's all I have to say. Chargers and the Titans.
Speaking of not good quarterbacks, Tannehill may just be over the hill. I think I don't know why they didn't try to replace him this offseason. Well, I guess they did. They took the Kentucky quarterback. I guess he's not working out too well. Didn't hear a lot about him in training camp. Outside of like the first week that it opened, they said that he was throwing badly. But either way, maybe he'll come in at some point this season. But until then, the Titans are bad. I wanted to believe that they could get one over on the Saints with Derek Carr there, and they almost did, to be fair. They played them right down to the wire, and the Saints had to give it everything they got to put one over on the Titans. A bad Titans at that. On the other side, the Chargers went toe-to-toe with the Dolphins in the game of the week, and they were actually getting it done. It was just one of those things of whoever scores last is going to win the game. The Chargers are much better than the Titans. I will be taking the Chargers on the road.
Yeah, I can only agree with that. I think the Chargers would have beat just about any team except for the Dolphins, which they happened to play last week. It was by far the best game of week one, which I predicted, actually. I projected this to be a potential AFC Championship game, and then certainly the highlight of week one, and that it certainly turned out to be. Of course, Jets-Bills was supposed to be that as well. It turned into one of the absolute worst games of the week. Given the expectations, but the Chargers, I know they underperform and their record is steadily and consistently worse than the team and what it should be, but these are the Titans. This should be easy pickings, and frankly the Chargers have to win this game, so I will say they get it done. Justin Herbert keeps the MVP campaign going and finally adds a win to the column. Giants and the Cardinals.
If you would have asked me before week one, I would have said there is no way the Giants can lose this game. Their pass protection is so bad. I wonder what's going on with Andrew Thomas. I know he has a hamstring injury now, but he was playing horrible before the injury came up. Dude, the team is... I had such high hopes for them to just get stomped out like that in week one. I'm going to assume they just weren't ready. Maybe that's it. They just weren't ready for week one, and they can still get it together because I believe in Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll has presided over some really good offenses in the past. Not outside of 2017 Alabama with Tua winning the national championship. I know that Brian Daboll has it in him to put together a great offense, and he's a quarterback whisperer. He actually turned around Josh Allen's career. He was in the midst of turning around Daniel Jones's career until last week, and it just exploded in the worst kind of way. On the other side, the Cards are bad. The Cardinals are not good, so I don't know if they're worse than the Giants at this point because of that beatdown, but I'm going to have to assume they are. I say that the Giants get it back together. This is a get-right game. I will take the Giants on the road.
Yeah, this has to be one, and they need this matchup in the worst possible way because Arizona is arguably the worst team in the league. Though they held their own against a Washington team that isn't very convincing themselves. But this is something the Giants absolutely needed, not another difficult one after this. They have a lot of mistakes to make up for. Obviously, that game against Dallas was over in the first quarter. And there's really no excuse for how badly the offense performed. Daniel Jones, last year, we've seen what he can do. He's got to get back to that. And I think every one of that Giants offense kind of just didn't really show up, and 0 points speaks for that. So this is a get-right game, and I think they'll get it done. If not, though, if the Giants lose this one to Arizona, is it time for real panic alert with the Giants?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, too.
If they lose to the Cardinals, they're going sub 500 in the end. I hope that beatdown just did not derail them that badly. Hopefully they can get right here, they can get it back together and put that behind them.
I agree with that. But if not, we're having a different conversation next week for sure. But for now, Giants win. Niners and the Rams.
Yeah, both of these teams looked really good in week one. Your 49ers kicked the crap out of the Steelers. Oh my God, that was horrible. The Rams, on the other hand, I envision Matthew Stafford talking to Tom Brady, and he's saying, you got a really great wide receiver in Cooper Kupp. That's the key to long-term success in the NFL for guys like Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford. Get you a great white slot receiver. Now, Cooper Kupp went out, right? So he's got this Puka Nacua, who is now the new star there, and the new Puka Cooper Kupp Jr.
The Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, that's it. He's the new Cooper Kupp, and he's probably going to get a lot of work. So if he's in your fantasy league waiver wire, pick him up. But still, the 49ers were just that dominant. You can't pick against the 49ers here. I'm taking them on the road.
Absolutely. 8-point favorites. Demolished the Steelers. Best defense in the league. MVP, front runner besides Tua. Niners looking good. And Rams beat the Seahawks. They served their purpose. Still don't have Cooper Kupp, which was one of the things I was slightly worried about because he's been a problem for the Niners in the past. But the Niners beat the Rams. This is like a very, very common occurrence. We know how this goes. They don't even have to be the better team. They even are the better team. So no doubt in my mind. Should be an easy win. Can't wait to watch it. Jets and the Cowboys. And as we know, Cowboys with the biggest spread here, 9.5-point favorite.
Yeah, no doubt. Are they going to do to the Jets what they did to the other New York team? It's looking very possible. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be out there. Wilson is serviceable, though. I mean, they made the playoffs last season. The defense is pretty good. This should end up being a defensive battle. I don't think the Cowboys are going to come out here and hang 40 on them. I do think they win, and I think Micah Parsons is a beast right now, and he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year again. He didn't? Wait, did it? Oh, he won rookie, right? Yeah, so he didn't win overall. Well, he'll probably win it this year, I'll tell you that. Cowboys at home. I hate it, but I'm guessing I'm picking them. I'll take the Cowboys at home.
Yeah, I hate it too. But, I mean, if this was Aaron Rodgers, of course, a different story. This would have been a great game. And I would have probably picked the Jets. Defensive battle is right. The over-under may easily be 30 in this game. I would take a very, very low under for this one. It's 39.5, and I'm seriously debating taking it. Even though the Cowboys are favored by 10 points, I don't think their offense is anywhere near as good as their defense. I think about half of their points last week were basically handed to them by the defense, either directly or indirectly, setting them up in great field position, including special teams in that. And well, the exact same thing is true for the Jets, but they scored even fewer points. Garrett Wilson seems like the only bright spot. Breece Hall too, actually. Both of the second-year players had great outings, great showings, but gotta start converting in the red zone for the Jets with Zach Wilson. Maybe. So far, it sounds like the Jets are going Zach Wilson, but just from skimming the news, there's an unusual amount of quarterback activity going on, and I'm wondering if they're looking somewhere, because they'll have to add another quarterback to the roster, right? Aaron Rodgers has been placed on injury reserve, and they will have to add another player. I have a very wild speculation, and I wanna know what you think about this idea. What about the return of Sam Darnold to the New York Jets?
Wow. I don't know that Shanahan would let him go.
Me neither, but the 49ers are currently working out a quarterback, Ian Book. They have 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
Wow. Okay.
It makes me think, I mean, just something. You know, there's bigger name free agents out there. There's Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. Those are available. Those are veterans. That would probably be a good pick as well. But I mean, this would be the best, by far the best Jets teams Darnold has stepped foot into. Remember, he left the Jets before they became respectable defensively and with the supporting cast. So he'd probably have good success there. But they seem to trust in Zach Wilson. He seems to have learned a lot under Rodgers, but he'll have to start executing if he wants to keep that starting spot, because the Jets are not going to let another full season slip by, at least without trying, because they're wasting the rookie windows of some of their biggest contributors. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all these are superstar players in the making, and they're all on rookie deals. That won't be forever, so they have to be in make some waves over the next few years mode. And with Rodgers out for apparently this whole season, maybe we'll see someone else at it. But regardless, Dallas is going to win the game. Unfortunately, don't want it to happen. I'd appreciate another upset at the hands of the Jets defense, but I think Dallas gets this one done. The Washington Commies at the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, the Commanders fans are celebrating right now, but I got to tell you, a 20-16 win over the Cardinals is not really something to celebrate. You should have been like the Cowboys, putting up a 40-0 win over the Cardinals if you're going to celebrate. Now, I like Sam Howell. He actually looked really decent out there. I'll give him that, and the guy is mobile. He's almost reminding me of Baker Mayfield at this point, though, so that kind of worries me. Wasn't as high of a pick, obviously, but his playing style is very similar to Baker Mayfield. Just watching him, and he's good at playing, or I don't want to say he's good at playing hero ball, but that's what he likes to do. He can move. On the other side, I think the Broncos came out hot and blew it. I don't think they will do that again. I think Sean Payton has to get this thing on track. This train needs to be on track sometime in the very early part of the season. They're going to have to start stacking up wins. You got another team here that should be an easy win for the Broncos. You're going to have to take advantage of that. Russell Wilson is not bad. He's playing better than he did last season, although these final outcomes are not quite different than they were last season. I think last season they started off the season with the exact same score, if I'm not mistaken, 16-17. But anyway, I'm taking the Broncos at home. They're going to get it back on the tracks here.
All right, here's another upset pick if you want to consider that. I'm taking Washington to go 2-0 here, mainly because I don't want Dallas to lead the division, so I'm saying Washington keeps winning, so do the Eagles. But also, I'm just not buying the Broncos. I'm not buying them. Yeah, I don't like Russell Wilson. I don't like Sean Payton. Of course, it's like it's the opposite of homerism, whatever you would call it, personal vendetta or whatever. They don't like him, but I'm not convinced by them at all. You onside kick it to start the season, and you don't even get. It seems that they still seem disorganized to me, and I don't know if Sean Payton is the kind of guy to really turn this one around the way Brian Daboll did to the Giants. I don't think he's ever been that impactful of a coach, if I'm being completely honest. I think his legacy is quite overblown because he's had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he's kind of achieved pretty average results given who Drew Brees was. And I don't see him being the savior that the Denver Broncos fans think he is. I don't see them sniffing the playoffs. And I see that becoming a reality. Not only losing to the Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo as they did, but again to Washington. And we'll have some more fun debates about the Broncos this year. Yeah, Washington 2-0 with Sam Howell. How about the Dolphins and the Patriots?
Yeah, Dolphins might be the best team in the league right now, in the entire league. They are that good. Maybe, okay, you can make an argument for the Cowboys. Okay, I'll give you that.
Third best.
I know you want to throw the 49ers in there. I get it. They stomped out the Steelers. I get it. Dolphins are the best. The Patriots looked better than I thought they were going to against the Eagles. It was the Eagles. Mac Jones actually was one of the highest producing fantasy quarterbacks, which was totally a surprise. No one expected that. He was not far behind Tua, as a matter of fact. It's ridiculous, but that is such as life. I can't take the Patriots here, though. Even though they're at home, I don't know. They may pull something off, but I will be taking the Dolphins on the road.
See, the Patriots did impress me, and they almost came back to win that game against the reigning NFC champion. I think the Patriots will probably be a pretty good team if Mac Jones can keep playing the way he did in basically the whole game minus the first quarter. Because defensively, they've looked like they always do with Belichick, top 5 material. But the Dolphins have been incredibly impressive. And they are picking up exactly where they left off last year, if you remember. Before Tua got hurt, and they kind of had this quarterback carousel going. Tua was the MVP frontrunner until he got hit in the head. And the Dolphins were one of the favorites to win the AFC until that whole quarterback fiasco started happening, and they picked off right where they did. They have still 3 of the 5 fastest players in the NFL combined in one offense, which is nightmare fuel. And if you have Tua playing the way he's playing, Mike McDaniel calling the plays, one of the most capable play callers in the league, Dolphins are going to be for real. And the way the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs all looked, I think the Dolphins should be considered by a good bit the favorites to win the AFC Championship after Week 1 this year. And I think they will confirm that this week at New England, overcoming one more of their old demons and firmly taking control of that division with the Jets sort of in no man's land. Bills are finding themselves in the Patriots. Patriots are having a very tough schedule to start the year. I think when it's all said and done, they'll probably be pretty serviceable too, but the Dolphins are the best team, and they're going to win this one. Saints and the Panthers, one of your favorite games.
Yeah, this should be a tank bowl. The Saints feel really good about that win. I don't know why it wasn't anything spectacular. You beat the Titans. Yay. Yay. Give it up for Derek Carr. Whatever. This team is extremely mediocre. And you could say that about the entire division. Yes, I get it. Maybe they're the best in the division. Who knows? I still think after Week 1, the Falcons are the best in the division. But the Saints are better than the Panthers. That offensive line couldn't stop anything, and Bryce Young just got beat all to hell and back. I started feeling bad for Bryce Young, and he's an Alabama quarterback, so it's hard to feel sorry for those guys. As much as I love Tua, I don't care for a lot of them, and I did feel bad here. He got beat up really bad, and they could not get anything going. They put up a couple points here and there, so I guess give them credit for that, but the team is not good. Not at all. I'll take the Saints on the road.
I will also take the Saints on the road. It didn't convince me one bit, but the Panthers are very young. You're asking a lot of a first overall pick pretty much every time, and the amount of times we've seen a first overall pick quarterback come in and have a really good season, like playoff worthy season, I could probably count on one hand, like since the year 2000. It just doesn't happen. I think in Andrew Luck, I think maybe Peyton Manning, who knows? And even Peyton Manning had a bad rookie season. I'm talking about, not him. But
yeah.
It doesn't happen. It really doesn't happen much. And Andrew Luck is sort of still the benchmark that everyone compares the next quarterback prospect to, which maybe we should stop doing that as well, because no one really lives up to that. Trevor Lawrence didn't. And I don't think we can expect Bryce Young to. I think he'll be a good quarterback. I like him a lot more than a lot of people do, and I think he's deservedly the number 1 overall pick. Of course, I'm a homer on that, but I do believe he's the best passer in this class. With that being said, the Saints have the massive advantage of veteran players, veteran quarterback, and I think they'll get it done. He'll have his breakthrough game. Bryce Young will at some point this season, and it won't be too far away. I think the Saints get this one done, just with the veteran presence on the road in their division. And by the way, this is a Monday night doubleheader, which is also a new thing I think they've done. I haven't seen that much, and it had to be those two, and then the Browns and Steelers for some reason.
Lackluster for a Monday night doubleheader. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's bad blood between the Browns and the Steelers, so maybe that garners some attention. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't really care for... You got 1 hour apart from start times. I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea, to tell you the truth.
It's a weird one.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have just thrown an extra game into the mid games on Sunday, but here we are. The Browns and the Steelers, like I said, there's a lot of bad blood there, and that's why they like to put them on prime time, is because they know there's possibly a fight brewing here. Anytime you get Steelers and Bengals, or Steelers and Browns and Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph and guys like that out there, there's going to be helmets flinging and whatnot. So that's why they're here. Steelers got stomped out by the 49ers, and maybe that's just the 49ers defense being that good rather than the Steelers being that bad. But I do want to say something. After the Falcons played the Steelers in the preseason, the final preseason game, I saw all over Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, Xer, Yeah, they were saying you have to play your starters in the preseason or else they're going to be rusty. Because they stomped out the Falcons in the preseason. And then we get into game one and this happens. So tell me how great it is to play your starters in the preseason a little more. But here's the thing. The Browns look great. It was in the rain. I want to say that the Steelers are still going to win this division. And if they don't, if they get stomped out again here, I am off the Steelers. Unless they play the Cardinals or something like that coming up, I will be off the Steelers. But for right now, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stay in the fire and say that the Steelers get it done at home.
All right. Ambitious pick, for sure, given how week one looked. But then again, I don't know what to make of the Browns at all. Like, they won a game against the Bengals, who are supposed to be very good. So it's impressive in that sense. But then the Bengals played like the worst team in the league. So is it impressive for the Browns? I don't know, man. Deshaun Watson didn't look like himself either, if he's ever getting back to that. Like, he looked alright, but not like a superstar quarterback. And to be fair, didn't need that because the Bengals were even worse. They didn't get anything done. So this is very difficult to say. Steelers obviously looked dysfunctional. There was this statistic like close to halftime where they showed like 199 yards to 1 between the Niners and the Steelers, and there was a large part of the game where the Steelers were actually substantially in the negative total yards if you included penalties. So that's kind of unjustifiable. I don't really know what to say about that. So given that showing, I have to pick the Browns. Though I think the Steelers are probably the better team overall and should have a better record at the end of the season, I cannot justify taking them this week. I just can't. It's very, very difficult. Very difficult to take them. The Browns are favored on the road here by 2 points. So I think that's the reflection of really pump the brakes on the Steelers. Preseason is the preseason. And if ever someone argues with preseason, that is a lost argument immediately. Yeah. that same second. So no one cares about preseason. So I don't think we can talk about the preseason for the Steelers. I don't think that's an argument in their favor by any means. They have to show it in the regular season. I do expect them to eventually, but not after this. I can't pick them in good faith. So Browns, get it done and go 2-0. Take control of the division. It's something I did not think could happen, but I guess I'm picking that. So do we agree? Do we disagree on a lot of games this week? I think absolutely. So, right? We had like half the feels like half the games we disagree.
5 of them.
5? Which ones were there?
Browns and Steelers, Commanders and Broncos, Bears and Bucks, Colts and Texans, Ravens and Bengals.
Ravens and Bengals. All right.
Yeah. See, you're obviously going with what happened in week 1, and I'm going with historical winners. So
yeah, we'll historical winners.
Yeah. I mean,
you mean like 70s historical, like the Steelers over the Browns?
Steelers always beat up on the Browns, you know that.
Yeah, so then I would like you to also pick the Patriots, please, over the Dolphins if you go on historical winners.
No, well, the Dolphins are, even when the Patriots were in their biggest runs of the Tom Brady years, the Dolphins always found a way to beat. Are we? Yeah, we're not in we're in Foxborough, so that's probably not the best argument.
Still though, they held the exclamation. And I guess depending on how far you go back into history, Dolphins are also a very good team. Top 5 team, arguably.
They had an undefeated season in '72.
Yeah, absolutely. The record, their all-time record should be about the same because the Patriots were just as bad as the AFC East was in the 2000s. The Patriots were just that bad in the around the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you got to pick the Bears over the Bucks, right? Historically.
Well, yeah, you pick everyone over the Bucks historically, except for Arizona. That is true, but that history is far, far back for the Bears. Most of it, at least. That is pre-Superbowl era. So I don't think that history counts.
Bears. 85 Bears.
Yeah, the mid-80s Bears.
Yeah.
I don't think that history counts. That is too far. Too far behind. I'm not going with that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of players still on the roster.
Just looking for some. No, probably not. No, I don't. Yeah, probably not even one of them, to tell you the truth. Maybe, oh God, what was the Steve Mongo McMichael is still hanging around the clubhouse somewhere.
Yeah, those guys, you can find them in the commentary lounge these days, but they're not close to the field anymore. So different situation. But 5 disagreements, I mean, it's good. We had a lot last week. Those went pretty well. Let's hope that this week it keeps going there, because I have to build a lead, because it always happens like that. I think I always build a lead, and then like over like the last 8 weeks it kind of gets really tight again. So hopefully I can avoid it this time. But even more importantly, let's get some points on the board, because 9-5 to even in week 1 is pretty rough.
Oh, absolutely. This will give me a chance to take the lead back here, since we disagreed on 5.
That's right. You got to hit all of them, though.
Yeah. Hey, you did it last week, so maybe I can do it this week.
That's true. But some of these I really disbelieve quite strongly.
Yeah, maybe so.
I'm not buying the Steelers as much as I want to. I don't.
Yeah. Hey, if they blow this one again, it's done. I'm done with them.
Yeah, depending on how bad it looks, you might have to reevaluate your division picks.
I know.
Quite strongly.
I always seem to pull for Pittsburgh for some reason, and regardless of the league, I mean, just I don't know.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Depends. I don't hate the Steelers either. I think like Mike Tomlin is just a sympathetic figure, and no, I never had anything against the Steelers. Never been one of those teams that I hated. That's true. That is correct.
One of the blue blood teams.
Yeah. And Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. And I kind of hope that stays like that forever until he retires. Just because it's a cool record to have. It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see how it goes. But that's all of our picks. Week 2. It's been an exciting week 1, to say the least. It's been adventurous. So we'll see what's in store for us next week. We'll see how things develop. We've seen some probably some firsts this week. I mean, a team winning and dropping like 10 ranks in the power rankings at the same time is one of them. And then also, I mean, Dolphins. Probably best game 1, like statistically speaking, ever. Or pretty close. So, a lot of interesting things to come up. Do you have anything to add for this week, Smokey?
No, I think that's it for this week.
Alright, then thank you for watching. And again, we have the poll on the MVP ranking, and that is going to be weekly. Every single week, we're determining the MVP, because I want to see how things develop. Who do you think is winning after week 1? You can go to the community page, and you can go leave your vote. I'm in on Tua. You in on Tua as well?
Absolutely.
So far, but maybe there's other arguments there to be made as well. So let us know and drop us a like. We'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha.